Okay, I guess I'm live. I wasn't even paying attention. Well, welcome, guys. Today we're going to kind of continue what I started on the video on the Vaxx card checks. And I just want to kind of do an opening statement here. And I will be reading a lot of comments tonight. I'll, say a little bit of say my piece, so to speak, and then, I'll spend a lot of the night listening as well. I'm not going to be bashing either side here. This is not about that. It's really about just poking holes and in some of what's being pushed. Some of it's expected, and it doesn't mean that I'm against it. It's just that mostly I'm about the choice part. I think it's important to me that we have a choice, and it's especially when there's logical reason to have the choice, and especially when you know that it's not going to be hurting anybody anyway. So yeah, so if you are in the categories that I'm going to talk about, then you know that it's low risk for you. So what do you care? Anyway, I'm going to be doing that, and that's what we're going to spend the next hour and a half talking about. In the meantime, before we get into that, let me show you something that I have. This, guys, it's a Vaxx phone. It's a brand new Vaxx phone. Okay, I'm right now I'm considering selling it for $350 or maybe $359. $359, not $350. At least that's the plan right now. Let's see if I can make money doing that. Be like low margin operation here. But this is it's a bigger phone. It's let's see, it's like I guess, yeah, it's about the size of a Pixel 4 XL. So it's like XL sized. So it's a little larger, and it's running obviously a de-Googled Android, and it's already preset. Everything's on it, and you don't have to do anything. And it's pretty nice, looking. It's brand new, of course, brand new. Comes with a very nice box. One of the things I noticed with this is that the camera is like, wow, what a camera! The camera is 48 megapixels. So that's, I don't know, is that 8K? It looks like an 8K screen. When you look at the photos, it's like 8K. It's very sharp. So, and here's the other thing that it has. This comes 128 gigabytes standard. So that's a standard. That's a 128 gigabytes. And you can put in your own SD card. So you can put in as much as you want. I mean, you could probably put, a terabyte in there if you want. And yeah, so let me see, just trying to see what else is unique about it. Got multiple cameras in the back. It has kind of a zoom thing when you use the camera. Yeah, I'm guessing I'm gonna have this available probably around March. So that's what I'm guessing here. It's gonna be the cheaper side of the phones that I sell, and it's not going to be the same price as the Freedom phone, but this is going to be a Freedom phone. This is the Vaxx 2 phone. It's called Vaxx 2. In fact, when you reboot it, I'll show you in a second here. Let me restart it, and then you'll see that it actually, wait a minute, wait a second here. Let me wait for it to reboot. It doesn't run Lineage. It's AOSP. It's not Lineage. See? Vaxx. It actually boots Vaxx. It's AOSP. It's not Lineage. There's no Lineage on this. Okay? No Lineage. So I tested it. I'm running right now on Ting.com or T-Mobile. Works fine. So No headphone jack, it's USB-C. That's probably my only gripe, is that it doesn't have a headphone jack. USB-C only. So anyway, this is going to be available around March. It's very inexpensive, so with such power, it's mid-level power. It's not going to be as powerful as a brand new iPhone. Mid-level. I mean, it's pretty fast. I mean, nothing that you're going to notice. So anyway, that's going to come in March. So keep an eye on that. I'll let you know when we start carrying stock. I'll give you like warnings, like maybe 2 weeks before. Battery size is, I believe it's 3,500 amp hours. So yeah, it should last a while, like any of these other phones. Still not a deal breaker without a jack. Yeah, because basically I don't even have any phone anymore that has a jack. In fact, the only one I believe is the Moto G7 Plus, and even that's no longer widely available. It's kind of running out of stock in that, so we're going to be running out of that, and it's going to be mostly this. So you can put your own SD card, micro SD card, and you can expand the 128 gigabytes it already comes with. So it's already pretty well equipped, again, with an 8K camera. 8K. So if some of you are saying, well, I want a better camera, well, yes, that's it does have that. So that's it's going to be amazing. So this will be the low end, which is actually pretty nice. I mean, it looks nice. The only thing I'm trying to figure out is the case, where to get a case for this, because it's a custom phone. So I'm going to find out the answer to that, and I'll let you know. But yeah, so that's going to be exciting. So that's going to be an affordable phone that is brand new. It's brand new. You're going to get it brand new, not a used phone. All the other phones I sell are used, like these Pixels, like this Pixel 3s in here. These are running Lineage OS, and they're used. This is brand new, running AOSP, not Lineage, AOSP. Okay, so anyway, it already comes pre-installed with Aurora Store, Micro G, F-Droid, all that. The standard stuff that I do on the other ones, but it does not run Lineage. Okay, so that's something that we can look forward to. So thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for being here, my friends. And we're going to get into the middle of the discussion here. Now, let me just tell you a little story. I understand that, what I'm trying to tell you here is not necessarily what it was. I'm just telling you what it is now. There's a change. So I told you many times before, I am not anti-vax. I'm not, I do my own study for myself, but I realize that doesn't apply to everyone. So you have a right to decide for yourself. I'm not anti-vax. I am vax, and not only am I vax, I'm also boosted. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually regret getting boosted. I think getting boosted was kind of a waste, and I'm not sure I'd ever get boosted again. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's relevant now that I got infected. And there were some new studies that were posted on CNN today, and yes, I watch CNN. That's very important. Very important. And it said hospitalizations are less with those with vaccinations. We'll get into that because I want to react to all of that. But let me first tell you a story of how I got infected a couple of weeks ago, a little over a couple of weeks ago. So what happened was, one of the members of my household is a kid, a student, and basically the kid went to school, got tested. Just follow the timeline here. Got tested on January 3, so that was a Monday, right after New Year's, and tested negative. And then the school required that they retest again. So they need to get tested before they go to school. They got retested again when they got back to school on that Friday, which was January 7. So on January 7, the kid got tested again, and then of course, we don't know the results, so we did our normal stuff. And on Saturday, after dinner, I felt tired, and I actually, instead of doing anything, I just felt tired and went to sleep. I slept a lot. I must have slept 12 hours that day, and because I just felt tired and probably a little lightheadedness, and but that was it. And I didn't really understand why. I said maybe I worked too hard. Maybe you guys are stressing me out. Maybe YouTube is stressing me out. So anyway, when it came to about Monday we found out, and I was feeling a little lightheadedness the next day as well. But that's about it. I mean, I was functional. I was doing everything. There was no limitation. I would describe my feeling as about 95%. I was like at 95%. I wasn't 100, but it was like at 95%. And on Monday we found out that the kid was positive. So then it all made sense. That means everyone in the household got infected, and so everyone was having similar light symptoms of basically just feeling, a little bit of something, but not sure what. Now, I'm the only one that's boosted. Everyone else just has normal vaccinations. And yeah, so in this case here, I may have had the worst symptoms because I actually felt it. I don't think anybody else had any symptoms that they could even talk about. The kid that was infected felt absolutely nothing, not a reaction, nothing. So no symptoms whatsoever, no reaction, nothing. It's like absolutely like 100% fine, and pass it on to the rest of us. And so a few days later, it's like never happened. We of course check the CDC guidelines because I'm a good zucking citizen here. So I went to the CDC and said, what are the standards for asymptomatic infections? And the standard was 5 days quarantine. So we all quarantined for 5 days. So we quarantined till Wednesday. So I started from Saturday, at least for myself. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So till Wednesday, till the day that my video got released. And then after that, everything was fine, and never felt anything again. And then the kid got tested again last Friday, I believe, and came out negative. So, okay, so everything is fine. Everything is negative. Now, this is very interesting. This is very interesting because people are really not understanding that it's a little different time here. Okay, because first of all, the kid didn't go anywhere. Didn't do anything. It's just from January 3, went back to school. It's just the only thing that was done was to go to school on that Friday, January 7. And when they all got tested, this is the entire school that got tested on January 7. Now, I'm going to tell you something very interesting about the school. In the school, it's 100%, this is California, 100% vaccinated. So 100% of the school is vaccinated. Vaccination being defined as, 1 or 2 shots depending on the kind, right? So they're all fully vaccinated. It was the requirement in the school. I don't think anybody was boosted yet, but they were all vaccinated. Well, lo and behold, guys, and this is just so you know this, on that Friday, somebody must have been so infectious that 25% of the school got infected. 25%. Now that's a pretty big number of infected, vaccinated people. 25%. Now we don't know the exact numbers, but you can kind of check because, everybody had to go on Zoom. So a certain number had to go on Zoom, and that number was 25% approximately. So, the school suddenly became empty because everyone, was positive. And as you can expect, nobody had any significant symptoms. In fact, many had no symptoms. And so they went back, and now a week later, everything is back to normal again. 25% vaccinated people here. Vaccinated. So this is something that I've been trying to tell you is, yes, of course it's Omicron. Well, isn't that obvious by now? By now, everything is Omicron. Yeah, everything is, it has to be. So the point is that on today, they all tested clean again, so all negative again, so they're all back in school. Now, like I said, the majority of cases that are reported are vaccinated. Now, this is not really a big shocker. It makes sense because 70% of the population, 69%, 70%, depending where you are, 69 to 71%, depending where you are, of the population is vaccinated. So here in LA, it's 69%. But in the school, it's 100%. So therefore, 100% of the infections were vaccinated. Now, some of you know some of the other stuff I do. I'm in the sailing community. I go sailing out here. In the sailing community, we do get reports of the people. It's reported if anyone we encounter has an infection. And of all the ones that I've encountered, or could have encountered, it was published, every single one that's been infected has been vaccinated. And of course, again, that makes sense because the majority of the people are vaccinated. In fact, in the yachting community, many of these are required anyway, so it's like 100% vaccination. So all of the cases reported were all vaccinated and boosted, and they all got infected. Yes, mind you, the symptoms are all mild in all of these cases. So everyone is vaccinated and boosted, or the young ones were all vaccinated, and they all got the Omicron variant. So the point is, it's kind of pointless to say, let's do a Vaxx check or a Vaxx card check, because what is that going to do for you? So you go into a indoor somewhere facility, your club, your organization, your office, or your restaurant, and we're going to check your Vaxx cards, and they're going to be so meticulous. They got to check your ID as well. And the reason for this is because if you are vaxxed, you're not going to be a carrier. Well, of course, that's now proven false with Omicron. So Omicron has proven it to be false. So whatever they believe in the past, it doesn't apply anymore. So Omicron is false. Makes that false. Now, what is interesting here is that, as I already said, 25%, that's a pretty big number, 25% of the school got infected. 25% of the school got infected. All of those kids that went home infected their households. So you can imagine the multiples here. If that 25% must have translated to thousands of people who had to have been infected, and none of them reported it. Except for the kids who had to do the testing. I didn't do any testing. I didn't report anything. So that's not even reported. So the numbers of Omicron in the community must be extremely high. I'm going to guess. So at the moment, the ratio is that in your communities, 20% of the people around you have already gotten infected at one point. 70% of them are vaccinated. 20% have had a recorded incident that's known to the government. And there's a huge number, and I don't know what the number is. So we're just gonna have to make a guess. But another huge number of unreported incidents where there were no symptoms or very mild symptoms. We are not going to know that, folks. We are not going to know that because there's no reason to check. So in my household, it's a pretty big ratio here because only one was reported and the rest of us did not get reported at all. So now, given all that, since I already know what it's like to get infected, which obviously for me felt like nothing, and members of the household felt nothing significant, aside from a mild feeling of something. What is exactly the fear now? I'm trying to understand why we need to care. So since we know that anywhere we go, nobody can, you can pass the infection on to me all day, and I'm going to say, who cares? I mean, I've already felt it. It's nothing. So why do I need to worry about it? And this group, like me, is such a big chunk of the population. And this big group, just like me, hit by Omicron, and this could be, like I said, this could be half the population by now. We already hit by it. Okay, hold on. The signal dropping here. Okay, hold on. The it's kind of lagging there for a moment. Okay, looks okay now. So, why do I need to boost or no, I already got boosted, but it begs the question, why do I need to tell anybody else to get boosted? What is the point? What is the benefit? We already know what it feels like to get infected, and for at least in this household, it's no big deal. So it's like, so we can go anywhere. So, my new standing rule is, heck, we don't need to worry about it. Oh yeah, we'll wear masks and all that because, that's a requirement. But, why do we need to care? Why do we need to get boosted? Why do we need to do anything? I know we'll be forced to, or some of the people were forced to be doing that, just because of all these rules are being instigated. But with Omicron, this is kind of like pointless now. Because if most of us got a little bit of the infection here, then our immunity would have been increased already by getting hit. And the fact is, not just getting immunity from getting hit by COVID. We already got it. If you already got it, and you live to talk about it, now some of you will not live to talk about it. In which case, then you need to take care of yourself. I'm not gonna go tell you not to get vaccinated or anything. That's not what I'm trying to tell you here. My point is that it doesn't apply to all. Initially, when this virus was not promoted, when this virus came about and everybody was trying to react to it, the initial statement was, this is for, we need to take care of those who are 65 and over because they're the ones who are going to be likely to die from this. And so those were the original numbers. How come I don't hear about that now? What is the percentage? Because of course, most people are in fact 70% vaccinated. Now, one of you guys talked to me on Vaxx Me a month ago, I think, and that person is a emergency room doctor in the Midwest, and gave me a heads up. This was a month ago, gave me a heads up a month ago and said to me, hey, the people coming into the hospital are vaccinated. So yes, there's a big number of people going to the hospital that are vaccinated, which means that the vaccine itself doesn't stop you from getting infected. But they only are saying that now. In fact, they're still pushing the old, let's go get, Vaxx cards and all this, even though it's not going to get you to be a non-carrier. You're going to be a carrier no matter if you're vaccinated or not. So you go to a restaurant and they check your Vaxx card, you're going to be a carrier. You're going to be a carrier regardless. Now, if you already got hit, then you can go to a restaurant and feel pretty good because, like, who cares? Like in my case, I don't have any nervousness about this anymore. It's like, yeah, it's not going to affect me. So I can hang around with whoever I want, even infected people, and it's not going to matter. Now, somebody made a statement on, I think it was CNN today, that says that hospitalizations, some of these numbers, I mean, this is why this is so confusing. It's because they're very confusing with their numbers, and they're not giving us the true answers here. Somebody made a study, supposedly. I'm starting to not believe the study because this is probably a Delta variant study. This is probably very old now, and it's nothing to do with Omicron. And the study that they said, the study supposedly said, this was on CNN, if you can believe CNN. I don't believe any media, but that's just, for the sake of discussion, we'll take CNN as an example here. And CNN said that hospitalizations are more likely if you're unvaccinated and previously infected versus those who are vaccinated. Now, I'm just I'm sorry. I'm finding this kind of hard to believe because, first of all, it's a brand new study. Supposedly just came out today or a day ago, and it's not even based on Delta. I mean, not based on Omicron, and so they're telling me, and this is the part that it's just not intuitive. And you guys tell me if there's any study that says this, that if you get infected once, you can obviously get infected again. They know that now. And the question is, would you be infected much worse the second time that you'd be hospitalized? Or would you be infected, or were you hospitalized the first time, in which case you could be hospitalized again. But if you got the symptoms that were very mild initially, I just can't, I mean, somebody has to do a study of this because they're not being factual here. They're hiding the truth there. Because if you already got infected with no symptoms or symptoms that were immeasurable, like in my case, what the zuck are you talking about? Why would you tell me that I have some higher risk factor when I already felt it? I already felt it. It was nothing. I got a little tired. That's it. Thank you, Pier Paolo. Thank you. So tell me. I mean, you can kind of argue, that I'm some sort of conspiracy theory guy because I talk about, privacy issues and how Google and, Apple and Amazon and so on and Facebook are all spying on you. And then you say, well, this guy is a tinfoil hat guy. I am no zucking tinfoil hat. And I just want to make clear that I'm not that stupid when it comes to this. Yes, I'm in tech. So you say, well, this guy's stupid. We don't want to listen. We don't want to listen to him talk about COVID stuff. Well, I'm not completely dumb with some of this. And the reason is I actually studied medicine. So a big chunk of my career was in, doing medical systems. I studied medicine, but I didn't pursue medicine. I pursued medical software. But it started off, studying medicine. So I know a thing or two. I did not get into taking care of patients, because that's not what I ended up doing. I ended up designing medical systems based on my medical knowledge. So that's what happened in my case. So, but I'm not completely done with this. Obviously, I studied a little bit of it. Can't remember a lot of it now, but I studied a little bit of it. And I'm not going to make any claims that I know any more than anybody, but probably, know a little bit more than the average person. And I'm not like anti-vax. As I studied molecular biology. We studied PCR and all this. So, this is not, we were doing this. We were doing this back in the day. Okay, so I definitely understand all of this. I understand what a PCR is. I understand what it's trying to do. I understand what people say that PCR is not a test because of infection, because it's only looking for particles. I understand all these comments. I understand all the comments about antibodies and how you cannot measure antibodies because in your body the immune system is more than just the antibodies. But that's the only thing that you can measure right now is antibodies, and that's why it's the only thing that we are able to talk about. The fact of the matter is, if I go back to my medical school days and I have to go talk about B cells and T cells trigger, enzymes that cause the B cells to create antibodies. So antibodies don't have to be created. It's going to have to be triggered first, and then T cells, of course, trigger other macrophages and all that interact in your body. So some of this is not measurable. We only know that we reacted to something from the antibodies. So they are actually deciding. They are actually deciding that you reacted to, or you have a trace of COVID based on the amount of antibodies, which is only a measure of something that's very recent, because the antibodies will fade, because your body isn't going to waste making antibodies when there's nothing to defend against. So then it goes to reserve the shape of the cell that it reacted to. In this case, the virus, the protein that it reacted to, is now memorized in the T cell. The T cell can actually regenerate all those antibodies later on. We don't know, how to measure all that. So we don't know for sure. So I have so many questions. That people don't seem to be searching answers for. Like I already told you, what actually happens to the numbers here if we say what actual number of people got no symptoms or mild symptoms. I'd like to know that. What number of people did not report an infection? So right now, the infection rate in the U.S. is 20%, 21%, something like that. So what is there any report of, is it by measuring antibodies in the population, of what percentage of people that are not reported as having been infected that are actually infected? So we already know that this number is high. I already told you, in my case, the household, multiple people got infected without having to record anything. So in reality, we would have been positive. But since there was no place to record it, then it's not going to get recorded, and then it's faded away, and now that's it. But we have the antibodies. And the T cells have now memorized those proteins that constitute a COVID-19 virus. And with Omicron, this is now a huge number of infections. And the good news, and this is the good news that nobody seems to care about, is that there's a huge number of infections with mild symptoms. That's what COVID is about, and that's part of the argument is, are we actually testing correctly now with some of these things that are saying, well, you get mild symptoms when you're vaccinated? We don't even know that anymore, because Omicron is mild symptoms. So we don't even know if you get infected now that, will you ever get non-mild symptoms, for the majority of the population? So I'm telling you, the numbers are huge. the infection rate is much bigger than you guys think. Many of you are already infected. No symptoms, and it disappeared, and you never knew about it. And so now your body has now reacted to it. And yet we're all still in this panic mode that we got to go ban you from doing this. We got to go do these Vaxx checks. And now Fauci said that you got to get a fourth booster. Fourth booster. Again, for the big chunk of you who will have gotten infected, and you already know what being infected is like, why would you care about a fourth booster, third booster, any booster, when you already know what it felt like to get infected? I understand this is not for all. I'm just saying for those already who have mild symptoms, which could be half the population. Could be half the population. So half the population could have some sort of immunity already. Not counting vaccination here. Going back to my pod now. What, your iPod? So anyway, I'm not in the extreme camp here. I'm just trying to get some common sense out of this. And the common sense is that I don't think we need to overreact anymore. But some of you guys are like talking about some stuff that's not accurate, and it's what causes, the interpretation of this to fail, because too many people have so many of these conspiracy theories that are actually incorrect. Now somebody says, I'm just gonna yeah, I know some of you are gonna get mad. You're probably gonna unsub me because I'm not telling you. Because I'm not an anti-jabbing guy. Though I do not like doing this and forcing mandate. It bugs me. Bugs me to no end to be forcing mandates, especially to the certain population that already know that they're not going to be hurt by this. Majority of you know you're not going to be hurt by COVID. You already know that. You already got infected, mild symptoms. If there was a test to see if we ever got exposure, then we already know that we didn't feel anything. Therefore, you're in that group where it doesn't matter. So, so you may think you have natural immunity. You may think that, but you may have already been exposed with no symptoms. So therefore, you may have gotten immunity otherwise, or such a strong response that your body doesn't allow most of it to hit you. I haven't been worried about COVID. What? Okay, hold on. I missed. Let me just scroll back up here. I haven't been worried about COVID after the first 3 months when I started seeing insanity. I hope I can start traveling freely again. Okay, so let me just wait for the signal to steady up here. You can probably hear the sound, but the video is dragging. I don't know why. It looks okay. Okay, this guy believes in virology. Okay, well, you can't I'm sure you can still hear me in spite of the video being delayed here. You can't actually expect me to just suddenly start believing something different when I studied medicine. Okay, so I'm not going to go around saying suddenly everything I know about microbiology is now false. So not going to happen, because obviously I studied it. I understand realistic things that explain certain things, but in medicine everything is decided by peer-reviewed studies. So there has to be a lot of people that do peer reviews, and then by question and answer, you don't just do a study, you do a peer-reviewed study where other people say, well, I agree, disagree. and that's how you make a decision in medicine. That's what medicine's about. Okay, it's not about somebody does a study and then you accept it. No, the way it works in medicine is you got to test it multiple times, because that's what the science is about. So, so don't react to something you hear in the news until it's been peer reviewed and there's multiple, like this statement that says, if you get vaccinated, you would get less symptoms than somebody who was already previously infected. I'm not certain if the data on that is absolutely clear, because we're in the transition between Omicron and Delta variant, and the symptoms are different in the two time periods. But some of you make statements like this. I'll just tell you some of the statements that I researched it, and it's not true. Some of you said that flu vanished. Okay, so signal disappeared there. Wonder if I'm being throttled. I wonder if I'm being throttled. It's always a wonder when you talk about certain topics, and the internet goes down exactly at that moment. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So anyway, I'm back. So let me bring up that number again here. I just want to make sure we're all being honest here. Okay? So here's the report of the death rates by category. I can't actually see that, it's so tiny, but you can see that influenza was, trying to see if I can see it here. I believe it's like 16 deaths per 100,000. Okay, that's the flu in 2019. Okay, now I'm going to pop 2020 here. And now in 2020 they say the flu was 16.3%, so about the same. Even a slight uptick. So for people that says the flu disappeared, no, it didn't disappear, because there it is. And then COVID now accounts for 105 deaths per 100,000. That's high. Okay. Now let me just while I'm leaving this on the screen for a couple seconds here. This, by the way, was from the CDC. So this is the CDC numbers. Now, the problem with this is that the number is actually a little bit off here, because the CDC already said that the COVID deaths were actually not being recorded properly. They were attributing the deaths to COVID, even though 50% of the cases had comorbidities that are not from COVID. So the number is actually off. So I think that's a bit overstated here. Okay, so they've said that the actual number is 50% of this. Okay, we'll see if they pull back or they reanalyze it or whatever. But let me just repeat what I just said. So the flu is at 16%. 16 people per 100,000. It said COVID was at 105 per 100,000, but based on the corrected interpretation, that may go down to 50 per 100,000. So now we're talking about, that's a pretty big change in numbers, because now when you're saying that COVID is what? What is 105 divided by 16? Like what? 8 times more, causing 8 times more deaths? Let me just do the math here. So 105 divided by 16, 6.5 times. So they're saying that COVID is 6.5 times more likely to be a cause of death than a flu currently, but that may be corrected now to be 3 times more than the flu. 3 times. Well, that's a pretty big difference in number. That's a very big difference in number, because now, it's certainly less of a panic situation there. Not only that, you also know that only certain members of the population are more likely to get hospitalized from COVID, and that's the older folks who are not protected anyway with the boosters and the vaccines. So I'm like wondering now, it's I mean, yeah, you should react to it. I mean, 3 times more is significant, but it's not 6 or 7 times more, right? Now, why do I even need to? Why do I need to say all this? And the reason is, this is being used to justify changes in society that I am really not comfortable with, because this is the same exact logic that was used with 9/11. By the way, before I do that, let me just mention my sponsor. This live stream is sponsored by Linode. If you go to linode.com/Rob Braxman, you're going to get a $100 credit that you can apply to up to 2 months of services on Linode. If you get a server, a website, Linux server, even just to play with Linux servers for free, you can do that on Linode. Linode is one of the best cloud server providers that I have found. In fact, I love them. I've moved most of my servers to Linode. So just reminding you that if you're looking for that, both for you personally and for your company, think about Linode. It's one of the best cloud server providers that I have had experience with, and definitely much better than Amazon AWS. Okay. So if the flu, I'm sorry, if COVID is more of a risk to the the older population, okay, I get that. If the vaccines protect against severe disease, okay. We got to get some peer-reviewed studies to counter that. But if that's correct, then that's correct for now. Until we get some more data, then that's fine. Now, beyond that, what else is this police action about? For basically like a severe version of influenza, we are now overreacting when we already know that probably up to half the population has already gotten this and didn't react much to it. And it didn't change our lives. I got infected. Folks. Did I feel it? I didn't even feel it. Basically, I just got tired. That's it. Didn't even feel it. So why am I caring about all this? And the purpose of all this infrastructure for checking your identity and, all of this action that's going to be done by government to track you, and then with the help of the private sector, meaning Google, Apple, and so on, I'm sure they'll be working on the various techniques now for you to show your vaccination card. What is that all about? I'm sure, guys, it's going to get to that. You're going to be showing your phone. They're going to have you display your phone with a QR code that's going to reveal your vaccination status, and you're going to be okay. If their computer says it's okay, it's okay. And people said, well, that's okay. The QR code is not identified. So there's no privacy loss with showing a QR code. And it's like, wow. Obviously, the people that make these comments are not on the computer business. You just have no understanding of what's going on. If you show a QR code is basically a hyperlink. It goes to the website. The website captures the sender, in this case, the restaurant or whatever, sends an identification that you were seen being checked at that location. It's now recorded into the database. The database has a timestamp. It knows you've been there. And this could be, checking at airports, at restaurants, at, stores, and whatever else they're going to be using as a way for, cross-checking these QR codes, which is going to happen. And we're going to just say, oh, this is great. This is fine. We have no problem with this. We don't have a problem with it. We'll just accept this. And that, my friends, is just totally unacceptable to me. Because once that happens, what the zuck are we going to do? What is the purpose of these Vaxx phones? Keep telling you about this new Vaxx phone. What is the purpose of a Vaxx phone or the Google phone? What is going to be the purpose of this if you're going to be revealing where you are anyway just by showing the QR code? And if you don't have a QR code, that means you're not behaving. You're like I said in the video, you're a pariah to society. You're a bad person. You don't help society. Even though you already got infected and did not react to it. And so you're saying, why should I care if I already got infected and did not react? And you're going to come up with this story that I heard, which I need to see proof of this, that you can get infected repeatedly and that the severity will go up per new infection. It's mind-boggling because it's, again, I do know a little bit of medicine, just a tiny amount. Not claiming to be an expert here. I did study medicine, okay? So not claiming to be an expert here, but what I know is if you get hit by a virus, that you will build up some immunity the next time you get hit by it. So when you say, oh, I'm going to get hit by this over and over and it's going to get worse each time, and there's a pattern to this, I would like to know. They don't even know how many people are getting hit by the virus that are asymptomatic. They don't even know that. They don't even know how many people are actually infected with Omicron. They don't. I told you that multiples of whatever number. The number is very high, like 1 million a day. Okay, 1 million a day, and it's the real reality is that's probably millions a day. It's probably at least double that, maybe triple that, are actually infected every day now. And the world is not in panic. And yes, there probably an uptick in hospitalizations. And when they say uptick, they go from 5 to 10 people. It's not a major uptick. Okay, but considering the numbers now, we're talking about possibly millions of people getting infected a day. Millions with Omicron, with no symptoms. Let me just read that comment there. Randy Hanley, you're not famous. Thank you. Well, I'm not famous either. And, people are watching less and less of my videos because they want to hear what they want to hear. So anyway, given this, I think that it's not, it doesn't make any sense to be being made into a police state. This police state mentality, I don't know what it is. And let me talk about the politics side of this because that's the title and I actually didn't even pursue that. Hold on, slowing down again here. I don't know what YouTube is doing. Maybe it's trying to hit me again here. If you're unvaxxed and you got hit already, especially you're going to get hit by Omicron if you're unvaxxed. You probably got hit already. You should be thankful for Omicron. You should be thankful for Omicron because you're going to get with less symptoms. And if you're unvaxxed, you're going to say, oh, no big deal. You should be thankful. This is probably going to save us all. Omicron is going to save us all. Did I study bioweapons? No, I did not study bioweapons, Steve. I studied medicine, not bio, biomurder. Medicine. Okay, so hold on because the signal is being controlled here. Is a bioweapon. LA sucks. We're going to Vaxx passes over. Am I still broadcasting the video? Because the video is seems like it's laggy. Somebody can tell me how the video is doing here. Is the video actually still going? Somebody confirm you can hear my voice, even though I don't see. Okay, there it is. I think it's okay now. Okay, so anyway, I don't know how you could justify telling somebody who already got infected, vaxxed or unvaxxed, that, oh, you need to really worry about this. You're going to die. I don't know how you can convince somebody of that when they already got it. And they didn't die. They didn't go to the hospital for this population. So I wonder how you could justify to somebody like that they need to worry about this. And you're actually saying, well, we need to care about this in this way and to the point of being a police state. Of course, never in the history of man have we gone through this kind of control with our health. Never. This police state thing is just incredibly new. And if we allow it to continue, we're gonna get zocked big time. No good now. Okay, here we are again. I'm sending 4K to YouTube. Okay, you're watching from Taiwan and it's good. I'm sending 4K to YouTube, but I don't even get the video from YouTube here. It's not coming out on my screen. So why somebody said, and one of our friends on Braxme said that the reason they got to do this is because as politicians they have to come up with public health policy because they're responsible, and so they have to come up with a policy that's acceptable so that they don't have the liability for not taking care of the population. Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. How is it then that there are different policies in different places? And I gave an example in the video between Orange County and Los Angeles County. Orange County is extremely free compared to LA County that's very, very restrictive. And yet the restrictive one is the one with the most cases. And the cases are going through the roof in LA. And of course the real reason is it's Omicron. So I'm kind of like pausing here because I don't know if the signal is getting through here. Let me I'm sending 4K to YouTube. So it should be okay, but I'm not getting a return here. Anyway, I'm not gonna pay attention to what YouTube is saying to me with the connection, because I can see that I'm sending 4K to YouTube, 4K bits. So so some of you are completely coming up with theories that are kind of unrealistic to me because you heard it somewhere, but you didn't research it yourself, such as what I showed you about the flu. So somebody said the flu disappeared. Not true. That COVID is just equal to the flu. not true. Uh, but based on what we know, the numbers from the CDC say it's 6.5 times more serious in deaths than the flu, but it's more along the lines of 3 times, based on the fact that they are double counting deaths that came from other sources, comorbidities. So you're watching in 480p. Well, they can censor me all they want. I mean, I'm not saying anything that anyone can argue about. I mean, I'm not telling you anything that will help you do unhealthy things and make it dangerous for you. I'm not telling you to do anything. You make your own choices. You make your own choices. If you want to get vaccinated, you should get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, I'm saying don't. It is sputtering, yes. So you can ignore the video. I know it's going to sputter, but I can see that the thank you Badger Tail. But I can see that I'm feeding the video properly here. So yeah, maybe they're trying to censor me or so. A restart seemed to fix the choppy audio. No, that's not going to do it here. If I restart this, it's just going to get worse. I'm feeding the correct signal, so just rely on the audio for now. So, okay, let's talk about, somebody mentioned the mask. And, mask became a little bit of politics again. And the thing is, it depends on, if somebody like DeSantis says, you shouldn't be wearing a mask, and then Biden says, oh, you need to, or Newsom says, oh, you need to. And so you got, the politics in here, and it's all mixed in here. And when you shouldn't really care about that and make your own judgments regardless of the politics. So I'm going to just tell you some facts that you should consider. You should love wearing the mask. You should love wearing the mask. Why? Facial zucking recognition. We're making facial recognition fail. I love wearing the mask. I love the fact that I have an excuse to, if you drive along the streets of LA, there are cameras, recording your face and what car you're driving constantly, and then they go check it against your driver's license. This is like an everyday affair, and I know exactly where those cameras are, and it pains me to go to these intersections because it's such a threat to my privacy. It's like they know when I go to the market. They know when I go to the market, and somebody made a statement that, hey, they're following you, they're tracking you because you're a target because of what I talk about. That may be, that may be, but I certainly am not going to go volunteer that information about what I do. Somebody said, well, I've got nothing to hide. I don't really care if you have nothing to hide or not. Nobody has a right to make a database of what I do that's going to be kept forever and zucking ever. No. So when I go in a car and I'm able to, without any reason, pull up my mask in an intersection, I love it. Who cares about the politics of it? So use it for your advantage. So don't make a political statement about the mask. Guys, this, for privacy reasons, this is actually a blessing in disguise. Blessing in disguise. Wear the zucking mask. Not necessarily it's going to keep you safe because, as you know, you need N95 now. But love the mask. Forget about the politics, guys. Can't tell a person's age. The problem, though, is, the murder that happened here in LA when somebody got murdered, like that student from UCLA got murdered by that homeless guy. He was wearing a mask. And that's a problem with criminals. Then they can hide. Yeah, that is a problem. But at least for mass surveillance, let's not help their mass surveillance. So yeah. So yeah, I know you don't want to wear a mask because it's it's a political statement. But stop the political statements. Who cares about the politics of this? Who cares about the politics of this? Why don't you confuse the algorithm for a moment and just you know, wear a mask, and then you can look like you're on the opposite view now. If they think you're on one side, you know, wear a mask and they'll think you're on the other side. So I don't, you know, it's like, I hate it when I talk here and then people interject politics and everything I talk about, even though I'm not saying anything that has to do with politics. I don't really care. I make my decisions based on my own knowledge and privacy, which is what I push here. And I don't really care if you know, it happens to be what's being pushed by the left or the right. Makes no sense to me sometimes that we have to think along those lines. And everything is politicized. I'm going to tell you how politicized this is. Every time I publish a video relating to COVID, I lose so many subscribers. I don't know how many, you know, I'm easily lost, you know, I don't know, maybe a couple thousand subscribers by now. Easily. Every time I publish these videos, that, you know, it's always about politics. It's like, oh, I'm going to interject my politics in here, and oh, you don't conform with my politics, Rob, so I'm going to unsubscribe from you. It's like, suck you. We're talking about privacy here, not about politics. I know some of you here are on the left, some of you here are on the right, which is excellent, because actually you realize the risk that applies to both. Yes, I realize that you know, with the current government in power, that there is one side right now that's dominant. Therefore, the spied on people are on the opposite side. I understand that for now. For now, 4 years from now, it might change, and then it'll be the other side is going to be spied on. And now what? Now you get said, oh, you guys on the one side say, well, you don't care about being spied on, and then suddenly 4 years from now you will care. Guys, this is not a political issue. You need to just use common sense here. This can be used against any of you. And I'm not here to protect one side or the other. I'm here to protect all of you and say, do not let powerful people control us on whatever side. Okay, now, just so you know who control the things, the switches, who these powerful people are, I'm going to make it clear to you right now that there is a deep state. There is a deep state. Even Snowden said there was a deep state. And this deep state are made up of career employees in the three-letter agencies who come up with policy on their own and want to influence us in whatever way that they want to push whatever agenda that they want. And they will do that even though surveillance is supposedly against the law, but it's not against the law. They find a way around it. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of this, guys. So there was an app called Unum that was popular in Australia, and it actually turned out to be a honeypot. Basically, they were trying to attract criminals to use the Unum app in Australia, and then the authorities in Australia then were actually watching conversations, and then they pounced on them and arrested a bunch of people who were using Unum. Okay? Now, okay, so that's clear. Except a lot of people in the U.S. also use Unum. And the FBI said, we want to track the people in the U.S., but we can't do that. It's against the law to track these people in the U.S., without a warrant. So what do? So the U.S., the FBI then goes to Australia and says, hey, Australia, can you track these people for us? I mean, the kind of games they play. The dishonesty in all this. So the fact of the matter is, yes, there is a deep state. And what you will find now, and this is where the political side comes in, is because at the moment, it appears that certain organizations, certain of the three-letter agencies, are controlled by people with left-wing views. At the moment, that's, I think, based on I'm going to make the statement. It's a guess. Okay, I'm going to guess that the deep state in the Zucking IA and the Zucking BI are probably left-leaning. There's a chance that the deep state in the National Zucking Agency actually leans right. So they may have different objectives. Obama created the infrastructure for surveillance in the Zucking IA. That did not exist before. The Zucking IA was used for on the ground agents. So they were supposed to be boots on the ground agents, and they actually used real people. But then they went to electronic surveillance to copy the NSA. So the NSA and the National Zucking Agency and the Zucking IA are duplicates now. So they've actually created duplicate spy databases spying on us. So yeah, and they control that, and because they control the data, they know everything you're doing. They know where you drive on the streets. If they start doing the COVID Vaxx checking with the QR code, they will get access to that. And they will now be able to tell from the population who's who and identify them, just like Google does, where Google knows exactly where you are. If you're an anti-vax guy, they know where you are. So you're like, zucking everything, Joe. So, yeah, there's a deep state. I don't know what the agenda is of the deep state. I don't even know who can control them other than themselves. And our reaction is, I don't care. I got nothing to hide. Well, you don't be a stupid Zuck. When somebody has your data, saying that you have nothing to hide is a very useless statement. They're laughing as you say that. Oh, got nothing to hide. Oh, he's in our database. Okay, vulnerable. Let's attack this guy. So, how do you get attacked? With disinformation, obviously. Disinformation. Who knows? Some of the stuff we see, I don't know if it's actually done by legitimate organic action or triggered by somebody else. Manipulated data, manipulated occurrences, manipulated situations. I don't really know. Hard to tell now. But the more they have your data, the more they are capable of that. And you guys are still thinking this is about the politics. It doesn't even matter who is in power. If you leave the deep state alone, they control it. Not even the president, not even Congress, because nobody knows what they're doing. How can you? Who checks the checkers? Who polices the police? I'm talking in the three-letter agencies here. And they're collecting all your information. And you're letting them, and you're saying to me, like this one guy that says, I shouldn't be talking about COVID stuff because I'm the privacy guy. This has nothing to do with privacy. Of course it does have something to do with privacy. Again, my channel doesn't, I'm not telling you to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. That's not my job. That's your job. My job is to tell you that let's not use this opportunity here to get tricked into setting up an infrastructure that will just be something we hate forever. So, you just bought the book 1984. You're kind of late on that, huh? I mean, although the book is called 1984, it was published in 1949? We're in 2022. So, this is a battle of biblical proportions. It really is. It really is. I agree with that. I agree with that. And I'm not willing to, let this go. This is why I have to speak out even with this COVID thing. And, even though I'm losing followers, subscribers left and right, even on Odyssey, because they're saying that, what was the statement from somebody? That I am just, that my scientific illiteracy is appalling. But nothing that I've said here is, is incorrect. Because I'm pretty much sticking to what they're saying, because I'm using their own arguments. I'm not giving you arguments that are not the arguments being made by those with access to the peer-reviewed studies. Again, I studied medicine, so medicine is based on peer-reviewed studies. Some of these studies are not peer-reviewed, so don't accept every study. Just because CNN posted doesn't mean it's correct. It has to be peer-reviewed. So you gotta wait. Okay? Why would I need a Discord zucking server, Bailey B? Why would I need that? I have Vaxx me, my own platform that I control. Nobody else controls it. Nobody can censor me on my own platform. You minored in psychology. You religious man? I suppose so, but I don't need to discuss that. So, yeah, some of you are on the opposite side. I'm talking about the anti-vax people are mad at me too. You're all mad at me. I mean, it's like I can't win. You're mad at me because I'm not promoting your theory. And yeah, I'm not promoting your theory unless I have a peer-reviewed study that I can base it on, because that's what I was taught. So peer-reviewed. So until there's a peer-reviewed study, then it's not accurate yet, and that applies to both sides. You should also realize that when somebody makes a statement on the press and they say that's, like this guy that says, this doctor said, yeah, you can get infected over and over and then you will get hospitalized. It's like, are you just trying to scare us? It's a doctor that's trying to scare us. Is there a peer-reviewed study that says you can get infected over and over and then the severity increases? Has anybody actually done that study? Has anybody peer-reviewed such a study? So if you don't have a study, then you're basically just, doing hearsay. So that person should have been banned on YouTube for saying that, because, there's no peer-reviewed study that validates what that doctor said. And it's on YouTube. That's where I found it. You're not mad at me, David? So yeah. So anyway, I'm telling you, I'm lost subscribers left and right, and it is what it is. I mean, I got to be true to myself here. It may take me a while to build this up again. I've lost even a lot of views. My videos are being viewed less, and maybe because people are angry about what I talk about. They want me to talk about happy stuff. But, I got to deal with the crisis of today. This is our current privacy invasion. It's happening because of Vaxx card checks. This is the beginning of it. It came with contact tracing. And that's, fortunately, many of you didn't believe that and didn't buy that. You didn't lose me because I'm neither vaccinated or unvaccinated. There you go, Jay Smith. So I'm not telling you to do either way. That is none of my business. That is your business. That is not my business to tell you. You should decide for yourself. All I'm saying is that there's really valid reasons not to care. If you already, like likely 50% of you have already been exposed and then go to the hospital, then why should you care? Why should you care? I get that. I get that. Why should they police you? Why should the minority or the majority police you for not getting vaccinated when it doesn't really affect them anyway? They're going to get infected regardless. Again, let me repeat the story for those who just came later. That the person that in my household that infected me was a student. The student went to school, and 25% of the school got infected on that day. In one day. In one day. I wonder if the teacher was the infected one, because 25% of the school got infected in one day. In a school that is 100% vaccinated. 100% vaccinated. So you can tell me what you want to tell me, but, Vaxx card checks ain't going to protect you. That's a fact right there. And that's what Omicron does. And you should be happy that Omicron is doing this, because it's trying to make their science, their fake science fail. Omicron is trying to bring out the real science here. So, okay. Anyway, I'm running out of time. And, it's sad that, I don't even know where to proceed from here with my videos, because I'm losing so many of you just by making these statements here. I'm losing so many of you. So, I wonder how many people I will lose. By the way, in this video, I didn't even go live yet. Before I went live, I already had 5 unsubs. Before I even went live. So several people, just from the title, several people just went in there and just, unsubbed. And yet, if you listen to this video, I didn't say anything here that wouldn't be all that mainstream. Everything I've said here is fairly mainstream. So, did they have symptoms? No. Christine, no. Most did not get symptoms. The student in my house got 0 symptoms. I got some symptoms. Like I said, I was feeling about 95%. So it's very slight. You knew there was an issue, but you didn't know what. Okay, so if you're one of those that, if I were in that school and I got tested positive, I'm one of those 25% in that school that tested positive, that'd be very interesting, because then that school would, in theory, be quite protected already. They don't need any Vaxx cards or anything, because if 25% of them got tested positive and nothing happened, it likely means that 50% of them were infected anyway at some point. So yeah, they didn't get anything. So yeah. So very, if I were in that situation, I would actually look at that as a positive and say, hey, what in that school, what do you have to fear anymore? Why do they need to care? Oh yeah, yeah, right. We got to go do all this checking, and I don't know for whom, but we got to do it for somebody. We got to make parents happy. We got to do this. We got to do that, even though they already got infected and got clean again, because they got retested and they're all clean again. So this school had a big burst, probably brought it to their families, and all of those families, and we're talking a lot of kids here, okay? So I'm saying just from that event alone, we're talking probably thousands of infected, thousands. So, and then it's over. And then now what? Panic, panic. But you already got sick or did not get sick. You already got infected. So how can Fauci tell me that I should get this or that booster if I didn't get hurt by it? I mean, the logic fails. Why don't just concentrate on the people who are more prone to it, and then give us some real measurements. And this is kind of my final statement here because I'm out of time. Give us some actual measurements of how many people actually get asymptomatic infections. How many people have antibodies or some evidence of being hit by the virus who have never reported a infection? How many get reinfected? What is the severity change as you go? If you get reinfected, what is the severity change? Because some of these statements being said in non-peer-reviewed studies are just basically there to give us fear, and I really have no belief in anything that's being said now that is there to raise fear. I don't believe it anymore. So yeah, I already got the booster, so my doctor called me and said, okay, we got to give you a booster. I said, okay. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for it. I didn't go around, saying I'm going to go get a booster. It was my doctor just said, time to get a booster. So I said, okay. So I did, and now I'm saying to myself, what for? I didn't need one. Okay, guys. So that's all I'm saying is do not let them push us into fear and then use this fear to manipulate us. I don't buy that. Take care of yourself your own way. I'm sure whatever way you choose is going to be fine. I'm sure. Okay? This is not the end of the world. They think it's the end of the world. It's not. So thank you guys for watching. And sorry for disappointing those on either side of the story here, because I'm pretty much closer to the middle than you think. Okay, thank you guys. See you later. Bye-bye. Sorry for the bad coverage signal.